Oh. You actually have to turn a mic on in this chamber. This joint assembly is convened pursuant to the provisions of JRS 16, which the clerk will now read.
Joint resolution providing for a joint assembly to vote on the retention of 7 Superior Court judges and 1 magistrate. Resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that the 2 houses meet in joint assembly on Thursday, March 20, 2025 at 10 o'clock and 30 minutes in the forenoon to vote on the retention of 7 Superior Court judges and 1 magistrate. In case the vote to retain said judges and magistrate shall not be made on that day, the 2 houses shall meet in joint assembly at 10 o'clock and 30 minutes in the forenoon on each succeeding day, Saturdays and Sundays excepted, and proceed until the above is completed.
Is that right? Pursuant to our Constitution and statutes, we are assembled here today in joint assembly to cast votes on the retention of 7 superior judges and 1 magistrate. We are operating under the Judicial Retention Act passed in 1976, as amended in subsequent sessions of the General Assembly, which establishes the procedure for retention of incumbent superior judges and magistrates. Amendments made in 2010 require the retention of magistrates. The date for holding joint assemblies for retention of judges is set by statute to be the 11th Thursday of the session in order to give the Joint Committee on Judicial Retention adequate time to consider the judges who are up for review. The procedure to be followed requires that the vote be by written ballot. There will be 2 separate written ballots, one containing the names of all the judges of the Superior Court and one containing the name of the magistrate. We shall first proceed to the matter of retention of the 7 incumbent superior judges. Under the Judicial Retention Act, which establishes the procedure for the retention of these judges, nominations may not be received from the floor. Rather, each judge seeking retention must file a declaration of intention to seek retention with the Secretary of State, or if a superior judge is appointed after September 1st of the year preceding the expiration of the term of the office, the superior judge shall automatically be a candidate for retention without filing notice. By this means, the name of each judge seeking retention is automatically placed on the nomination and considered for retention pursuant to the terms of the Judicial Retention Act. In addition, the Judicial Retention Act provides that when the candidate does so declare for retention, the question to be decided shall automatically be, shall the following Superior Court judges be retained in office? Accordingly, we will need tellers, and the chair now appoints as tellers Senator Collmore of Rutland District, Senator Vyhovsky of Chittenden Central District, Senator Watson of Washington District, Representative Duke of Burlington, Representative DeMar of Enosburg Falls, Representative Sibilia of Dover, and Representative Tomlinson of Winooski. We shall now proceed to the matter of retention of the incumbent superior judges. For these positions, we received a declaration of intention to seek retention to the office of Superior Judge from the following: Henry Dickinson Corbett IV, Kevin W. Griffin, Howard Andrew Kalfas, Elizabeth D. Mann, Megan J. Safritz, Timothy Burt Tomasi, and Thomas A. Zone. The question to be decided on each of these cases is, shall the Superior Court Judge Henry Dickinson Corbett IV be retained in office, yes or no? Shall Superior Judge Kevin Griffin be retained in office, yes or no? Shall Superior Judge Howard Kalfas be retained in office, yes or no? Shall Superior Judge Elizabeth Mann be retained in office, yes or no? Shall Superior Judge Megan Schaffritz be retained in office, yes or no? Shall Superior Judge Timothy Burt Tomasi be retained in office? Yes or no? Shall Superior Judge Thomas Zone be retained in office? Yes or no? The ballot which you will receive will contain these questions in printed form on a single ballot. The terms of each of these judges is for 6 years, from and including the first day of April 2025 and until their successors are elected and qualified. To facilitate the procedure for this morning, the chair will rule, unless there is objection, that the debate of these 7 judges will be received separately. At the end of the debate for the 7 judges, any general debate on the entire question will be in order. First, we will receive the report of the Joint Committee on Judicial Retention. The chair now recognizes the chair of that committee, the member from Williston, Representative Arsenault, for the purpose of receiving the report.
Mr. President, the Judicial Retention Committee today presents to you and the General Assembly information regarding 7 Superior Court judges and 1 magistrate, all of whom are seeking to be retained for another 6 years. The committee consists of 8 members, 4 from the House and 4 from the Senate, and is charged with evaluating judicial performance, including but not limited to such factors as integrity, judicial temperament, impartiality, legal knowledge, and administrative skills. The judges and magistrate up for retention today all submitted information about their education, previous employment, copies of some of their judicial decisions, a letter detailing why they wish to be retained, answered questionnaires, participated in interviews with the committee, and were the subject of a public hearing about their performance on the job. Additional evaluation materials provided to the committee included the results of an anonymous survey sent to all court staff, all members of the Vermont Bar, guardians ad litem, probation and parole officers, and others. The recommendations you will hear today are the result of thoughtful, conscientious work by your Judicial Retention Committee, with impeccable guidance from Attorney Eric Fitzpatrick and Committee Assistant Lindsay Schreier. I thank the members for their diligence. Mr. President, we will now hear the recommendations of the committee.
We will now proceed to any debate on the Superior Judge up. Where did we go? That's what it says here.
Yeah, but it says you have to do this part.
The chair now recognizes the member from Sheldon, Representative Oliver, to give the report on Superior Judge Henry Corbett IV.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am speaking on behalf of the Judicial Retention Committee with our retention findings on Superior Court Judge H. Dixon Corbett. Judge Corbett attended Vermont Law School from 2004 through 2007, obtaining his Juris Doctorate and MS Yale. Judge Corbett has spent his entire legal career in public service. He has served as a law clerk and staff attorney for the judiciary between 2007 and 2013. As a deputy state's attorney in Orange County State's Attorney's Office from 2013 to 2021. And in 2021, Corbett was appointed as Orange County State's Attorney by Governor Phil Scott. A year later, Corbett was elected by the people of Orange County to the office of State's Attorney. As a county prosecutor, he worked on a variety of cases, including homicides, sexual assaults, child abuse, neglect cases. And in April 2023, Corbett was appointed to serve as Superior Court Judge after the retirement of Judge Robert Garrity, and was confirmed by the Vermont Senate in May 2023. After appointment to the position, Judge Corbett focused as much as he could on training for his new position. His first year as judge, he invested weeks worth of training in as many subject areas as possible. Judge Corbett has now presented subject matter at the Vermont Judicial College and participates as a mentoring judge at the VBA Trial Academy. Current chair of the Vermont Advisory Committee on the Rules of Evidence, and has served as a member on the Vermont Advisory Committee on Rules of Criminal Procedure, the Vermont Advisory Committee on Rules of Family Procedure, and the Vermont Criminal Jury Instruction Committee. Since appointment, Judge Corbett has served as the Superior Court Judge in the Windsor Unit Civil Division, while also serving several days a month in the Windsor Unit Family Division. Judge Corbett prides his successful reduction in caseload with the help of court staff using teamwork and dedication while accelerating litigants' access to justice. He was unanimously recommended by the staff and colleagues in the courts to be retained, and 96% of the attorneys that appeared before Judge Corbett are concurring. Judicial Retention recommends we retain the Honorable Judge H. Dixon Corbett unanimously with a vote of 8-0-0. Thank you, Mr. President.
We now will proceed to any debate on Superior Court Judge. Up for retention, Superior Judge Henry Corbett IV. There being no debate, the chair now recognizes the member from Montpelier, Representative Casey, to give the report on Superior Judge Kevin Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Joint Committee on Judicial Retention recommends that the General Assembly vote to retain Judge Kevin W. Griffin for another term on the Vermont Superior Court. Judge Griffin brings over 40 years of legal experience, including more than a decade of service on the bench. A former public defender and trial attorney, he built a career rooted in criminal defense, family law, and civil litigation before his appointment to the court by Governor Peter Shumlin in 2013. That diverse background is reflected in his thoughtful, well-reasoned approach to cases before him. During his tenure, Judge Griffin has served in counties across Vermont and presided over a wide range of complex cases, including some of the state's most high-profile criminal trials. Attorneys who appear before him describe him as extremely well-prepared, fair, and committed to ensuring that every case receives the attention it deserves. One attorney noted, frustratingly, I am struggling to think of something bad to say about Judge Griffin. He is one of the better judges in the Vermont state courts. Another remarked simply, if Judge Griffin could be cloned, that would be a good thing. Judge Griffin is also widely respected for his leadership in Vermont's treatment courts, which provide critical alternatives to incarceration for individuals with substance abuse challenges. He currently oversees the Chittenden County Treatment Court and soon will expand that role to supervise similar programs in 4 counties, including launching a new drug court in Windsor County. Throughout his career, Judge Griffin has demonstrated a deep respect for the law, the litigants who appear before him, and the important role of the judiciary in maintaining public trust. His colleagues and the committee alike recognize his tireless work ethic and his commitment to balancing accountability with compassion in the courtroom. The committee commends Judge Griffin's deep commitment to public service, his professionalism, and his ongoing efforts to strengthen access to justice across Vermont. And with that, we unanimously recommended his retention 8-0-0. Thank you very much.
We will now proceed to any debate on Superior Judge. Up for retention, Superior Judge Kevin Griffin. There being no debate, the chair now recognizes the senator from Rutland District, Senator Williams, to give the report on Superior Judge Howard Kalfas.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Joint Judicial Retention Committee unanimously recommends retention of Judge Howard Kalfas for the term 1 April 25 to March 31st, 2031. Judge Kalfas holds a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Massachusetts Amherst, a Juris Doctorate from Seton Hall University School of Law, and a Master of Judicial Studies from the University of Nevada, Reno. Before his appointment to the bench, Judge Kalfas started his practice at the law office of Howard Kalfas, handling juvenile, domestic, and criminal cases. He then worked as a Chittenden County public defender representing clients in criminal and juvenile matters, followed by a position at the Vermont Attorney General's office where he focused on prosecuting termination of parental rights cases. Judge Kalfas also served at Downs, Rockland, Martin, working on domestic and juvenile cases, and later at the Vermont Department of Public Safety, where he provided legal counsel and legislative representation. In 2021, he was appointed as a hearing officer for the Vermont Judicial Bureau, where he later became chief hearing officer, presiding over various case types and training assistant judges. In 2021, Judge Kalfas was appointed to the Vermont Superior Court, primarily handling cases in the family division. His assignments have included domestic and juvenile dockets in multiple counties, allowing him to develop extensive experience in family law. In 2024, he was selected as a statewide judge dedicated to children in need of care on supervision cases, a role aimed at the addressing backlogs and ensuring timely parenting of the children. Judge Kalfas is an active member of the Vermont Bar Association and the Vermont Trial Judges Association, where he has served as treasurer since 2017. Judge Kalfas is deeply committed to public service and believes in the importance of access to justice, procedural fairness, and the protection of vulnerable children. He finds his work as a judge to be the most rewarding phase of his career, valuing the opportunity to make informed, nuanced decisions that impact individuals' lives. His focus remains on refining his expertise in family and juvenile law while contributing to the efficiency and integrity of Vermont's judicial system. The Judicial Retention Committee was 8-0-0.
We will now proceed to any debate on the Superior Judge up for retention. Superior Judge Howard Kalfas. There being no further debate, the chair now recognizes the senator from Addison District, Senator Hardy, to give the report on Superior Judge Elizabeth D. Mann.
Thank you, Mr. President. Judge Elizabeth Mann was appointed as a Vermont Superior Court judge by Governor Phil Scott in 2017 and has served in multiple courthouses across the state, including Windsor, Windham, Orange, and Orange counties. Her judicial assignments have included presiding over cases in family, criminal, and civil divisions. She has served as the presiding judge for the Orange Superior Court and the Windsor Criminal and Family Divisions. She is currently assigned to the Windham Family Division. Judge Mann attended Dartmouth College and Vermont Law School. She began her career as a law clerk for multiple judges in Vermont trial courts. She worked in private practice for nearly a decade, where she handled a broad range of cases, including family law, criminal, employment matters, and civil litigation. In 1999, Judge Mann joined the Federal Public Defender's Office for the District of Vermont as an assistant federal public defender. Over the next 11 years, she represented indigent defendants in federal criminal cases at both the trial and appellate courts, including arguments before the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. From 2010 to 2016, Judge Mann returned to private practice before being appointed to the bench in 2017. Judge Mann has been actively involved in several judicial committees and initiatives aimed at improving court operations and access to justice. She is dedicated to procedural efficiency and fairness in courtroom and has implemented scheduling improvements to maximize court time, reduce backlogs, and encourage parties to reach agreements before hearings. Judge Mann describes her time on the bench as the most rewarding experience of her legal career. She notes that, quote, juggling the wide range of procedural and substantive issues that come before our courts is intrinsic to this position, and she believes doing so is one of her strengths. She writes, quote, our courts have increasingly become the public institution of choice for dealing with social problems that other institutions have been unable to solve, including drug addiction, mental illness, and family dysfunction, all of which are common elements in criminal, family, juvenile, and civil cases, unquote. I personally would argue that our public schools are in the same situation. But as such, she is passionate about ensuring that litigants are treated with dignity and respect, that decisions are made impartially, and that legal processes are accessible to all. She takes special care to assist self-represented litigants in understanding court procedures while maintaining judicial neutrality. The Judicial Retention Survey evaluations of Judge Mann were not without some concerns, which the committee discussed with her several times. At our request, she has agreed to work with a mentor judge and seek further judicial training to strengthen her performance in the courtroom. As the senior member of the Judicial Retention Committee, I have seen firsthand that this type of agreement for training and mentorship works very well, including with another judge who is up for retention today. The committee is confident that such an arrangement will benefit Judge Mann and help her become an even better judge than she is today. Judge Mann cares deeply about her work for the people of Vermont and is an excellent asset to our state's judiciary. The committee voted unanimously she be retained. Thank you, Mr. President.
We will now proceed to any debate on Superior Judge up for retention, Superior Judge Elizabeth Mann. Seeing no debate, the chair now recognizes the senator from Chittenden Central District, Senator Gulick, to give the report on Superior Judge Megan Shafritz.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Joint Judicial Retention Committee unanimously recommends retention for Judge Megan Shafritz for the term from April 1st, 2025 to March 31st, 2031. Judge Megan Shafritz was born in 1969 in New York, New York. She earned her Bachelor of Arts degree, magna cum laude, in American Studies from Williams College in 1991, and then attended the University of Pennsylvania Law School, where she graduated cum laude in 1994. During law school, she was honored with membership in the Order of the Coif and served as the editor-in-chief of the University of Pennsylvania Law Review. If you're curious about the Order of the Coif, as I was, it is an American honor society for law school graduates, founded in 1902 at the University of Illinois College of Law, and it recognizes students who graduate in the top 10% of their class and those who achieve distinction in their legal careers. Judge Shafritz began her legal career as a judicial law clerk in the U.S. District Court for the District of Delaware, and then worked in New York as a litigation associate. In 2002, she transitioned to Vermont, joining the firm Gravel and Shea, where she became a partner and worked on commercial litigation, employment law, and personal injury cases. In 2009, she entered public service as chief of the civil division at the Vermont Attorney General's office, and here she supervised attorneys and handled significant litigation matters for the state, including constitutional challenges, employment disputes, and civil rights cases. Judge Shafritz was appointed as a Vermont Superior Court judge in March of 2018 by Governor Phil Scott. Since her appointment, she has presided over cases in Chittenden, Lamoille, Rutland, Franklin, and Addison counties. She has experience in all three divisions of the Superior Court, civil, criminal, and family. Currently, she serves as the presiding judge in the Chittenden Family Division, where she handles domestic, juvenile, and mental health dockets. As a judge, she's committed to procedural fairness, ensuring that litigants feel heard and treated with respect, regardless of the legal or personal difficulties they may face. She emphasizes active listening, clear explanations of the judicial process, and fairness in her courtroom. Judge Shafritz actively contributes to judicial administration and legal education. She's a member of several committees, including the Civil Division Oversight Committee, the Electronic Filing Rules Committee, the Vermont Judiciary Law Clerk Hiring Committee, and she's a former member of the Family Rules Committee. She also participates in initiatives aimed at improving our legal system, such as Reclaiming Futures, a juvenile justice workshop that focuses on youth intervention and prevention strategies. And she's also a member of the Chittenden County Truancy Work Group, which addresses school attendance issues, which has been a big problem since the pandemic. Judge Shafritz describes her judicial experience as both challenging and deeply fulfilling. She finds satisfaction in helping litigants understand the judicial process and in making decisions that positively impact people's lives. While she enjoys nearly every aspect of judging, she recognized the position's challenges, including the high caseload, the long hours, and the emotionally charged nature of many family and criminal cases. She's dedicated to improving the efficiency of the court system and mentoring new judges to build a strong, experienced judiciary here in Vermont. It was clear to everyone on our committee that Judge Shafritz is passionate about what she does. She brings energy, joy, and deep commitment to this position that is so incredibly critical to our state and our democracy at this time. Her survey results were excellent, and as I said before, we unanimously recommend her for retention. Thank you, Mr. President.
We will now proceed to any debate on the Superior Judge up for retention, Superior Judge Megan J. Shafritz. Seeing no debate, the chair now recognizes the member from Williston, Representative Arsenault, to give the report on Superior Judge Timothy Burt Tomasi.
Mr. President, I'm pleased to provide this report to the Joint Assembly regarding the findings and recommendations of the Judicial Retention Committee on Superior Court Judge Timothy B. Tomasi. Judge Tomasi was born right here in Montpelier. He earned a Bachelor of Arts degree from Columbia in 1985 and attended Columbia Law School, where he received his JD in 1988. During law school, he was the Notes and Comments editor for the Columbia Law Review and a Harlan Fiske Stone Scholar. Judge Tomasi began his legal career as a law clerk in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the First Circuit. He then practiced civil litigation at the Boston law firm Hill & Barlow from 1989 to 1994, handling cases involving constitutional law, product liability, securities fraud, and medical malpractice. During this time, he also served as a special assistant district attorney in Middlesex County, Massachusetts, where he prosecuted cases ranging from assault and robbery to drug offenses. In 1994, he returned to Vermont and joined the Office of the Attorney General as an assistant attorney general in the Civil Division. By 1999, he became chief of the Civil Division, where he supervised attorneys and handled cases involving constitutional challenges, civil rights, employment law, and tort defense. He also served as an assistant United States attorney for the District of Vermont from 2007 to 2010, representing the federal government in cases related to healthcare fraud, drug diversion, and constitutional claims. Judge Tomasi was appointed as a Vermont Superior Court judge in 2010. Since then, he has presided over cases in multiple counties and across all court divisions, including civil, criminal, and family. His judicial assignments have taken him to Chittenden, Grand Isle, Orleans, Orange, Lamoille, Washington, Windsor, and Caledonia counties. He has extensive experience handling civil litigation, family law matters, criminal cases, and mental health dockets. In addition to his trial court duties, Judge Tomasi has occasionally served as a substitute justice on the Vermont Supreme Court, participating in over 20 appellate cases. His background in appellate litigation, including an award for excellence in brief writing before the U.S. Supreme Court, has made him well suited for these assignments. In his role as a Superior Court judge, Judge Tomasi strives to ensure procedural fairness by listening carefully, providing clear explanations of rulings, and fostering trust in the judicial process. He believes that maintaining humility is essential for a judge, often reminding himself of the phrase, "You may be mistaken," to stay open-minded and impartial in his decision-making. Survey results for Judge Tomasi were overwhelmingly favorable. The committee did hear from one Vermont attorney who expressed serious concern about a particular case over which Judge Tomasi presided. Because that case may come back before the judge, he was not able to address the stated concerns directly. However, the committee was confident in the balance of feedback and voted unanimously 8-0-0 to recommend Judge Tomasi for retention, and we hope this body will concur. Thank you.
We will now proceed to any debate on the Superior Judge up for retention, Superior Judge Timothy Tomasi. Seeing no debate, the chair now recognizes the senator from Rutland District, Senator Collmore, to give the report on Superior Judge Thomas A. Zone.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Joint Judicial Retention Committee unanimously recommends retention for Judge Thomas Zone. He is now the Chief Superior Judge for the state of Vermont, was appointed to the bench by Governor Douglas in 2007 and appointed as Chief Judge in 2021. Prior to his appointment to the bench, he was an attorney in private practice, and before that, a police officer in Woodstock, Vermont. Judge Zone received a bachelor's degree in food industry from Delaware Valley College and a Juris Doctor from the Vermont Law School. As is true most of the time with people of great talent, Judge Zone is in great demand. He currently serves on 17 committees and/or commissions. It would take me a full minute to read that list, but I got a true sense of exhaustion when I did read it, and I'm admiring his ability to do that. In the past, he served on the Vermont Bar Association Board of Managers, was a director of the Vermont Bar Foundation, a past president of the New England Bar Association, and is currently a member and past president of the Vermont Trial Judges Association. At the time of his appointment to the bench, Judge Zone was chair of the Vermont Human Rights Commission. He is also a U.S. Coast Guard licensed master captain. His survey responses were overwhelmingly positive. 100% of both the attorneys that appear before him and the court staff gave him high marks and recommended strongly his retention. Some of the examples, quote, Judge Zone provides a thoughtful and balanced perspective when considering changes to our internal operations process. And also, Judge Zone treats all staff members with respect and kindness. I want to note there was not one negative comment in our survey about Judge Zone. And like many of you, I have had the opportunity to work with Judge Zone on legislative matters affecting the judiciary and concur with the comments in his survey responses. He's always well prepared, respectful, and kind, and clearly enjoys his work. And again, on a vote of 8-0-0, your Joint Judicial Retention Committee unanimously recommends retention of Judge Thomas Zone. Thank you.
We will now proceed to any debate on the Superior Judge up for retention, Superior Judge Thomas A. Zone. Seeing no debate, is there any general debate? There being no debate, before the ballots are passed out, I want to remind you of the rules that govern us. Insofar as they are applicable, the Senate rules apply. No representative or senator may be absent from this joint assembly unless sick or otherwise necessarily detained. Upon being called to order, every representative and senator shall be seated. It is the duty of each representative and senator to vote unless excused by this joint assembly or unless they are directly or immediately interested in the question being voted on. You are to remain seated while the tellers distribute the ballots. If a member is not seated, no ballot will be placed at the member's desk or seat. You are to remain seated during voting and while the ballots are collected by the tellers. There will be no milling about in the chamber during the counting of ballots. You are requested to remain in your seat during the counting of the ballots unless it is necessary to step out of the chamber. If you leave the chamber during the counting of the ballot, you will not be permitted to re-enter the chamber until the counting of the ballot has been completed. If you are ready for the question, the tellers will now distribute the ballots to the members of the joint assembly for the vote. Betsy, the speaker got left out. Who was supposed to bring her ballot? Does everyone have a ballot? If you do, if there's anyone that does not have a ballot, please stand up and be recognized. We want to make sure everybody gets a ballot. Thank you. And the tellers picked it up. go through the votes, there is one magistrate. There you go. 159 total. 80. 157 to 2. Okay? Sounds like me. Seven and 2. 160. Got it. Yep, I think so. Nobody's going to notice if I mess up. Except you. Ready. Please listen to the results of your vote for Superior Judge Henry. Microphone. My voice doesn't generally need a microphone. Please listen to the results of your vote for Superior Judge Henry Dickinson Corbett IV. Total votes cast 159. Necessary for retention 80. The yeas 57. The nays 2. Wait, sorry. Yeas 157, nays 2, and did I do that right? And we have retained page 8. I'm on page 8. Okay. Superior Judge Henry Dickinson Corbett IV, having received the majority of the total votes cast, is hereby declared retained to the office of Superior Judge for a term of 6 years from and including the first day of April 2025 and until his successor is elected and has qualified. For Superior Judge Kevin Griffin, total votes cast 159, necessary for retention 80. The yeas 159, the nays 0. Superior Judge Kevin Griffin, having received the majority of the total votes cast, is hereby declared retained to the office of Superior Judge for a term of 6 years from and including the first day of April 2025 and until his successor is elected and has qualified. For Superior Judge Howard Coffis, total votes cast 159, necessary for retention 80, the yeas 158, the nays 1. Superior Judge Howard Coffis, having received the majority of the total votes cast, is hereby declared retained to the office of Superior Judge for a term of 6 years from and including the first day of April 2025 and until his successor is elected and has qualified. For Superior Judge Elizabeth Mann, total votes cast 159, necessary for retention 80, the yeas 158, the nays 1. Superior Judge Elizabeth Mann, having received the majority of the total votes cast, is hereby declared retained to the office of Superior Judge for a term of 6 years from and including the first day of April 2025 and until her successor is elected and has been qualified. For Superior Judge Megan Shaffritz, total votes cast 159, necessary for retention 80. The yeas are 159, the nays 0. Superior Judge Megan J. Shaffritz, having received the majority of the total votes cast, is hereby declared retained to the office of Superior Judge for a term of 6 years from and including the first day of April 2025 and until her successor is elected and has qualified. For Superior Judge Timothy Burt Tomasi, Total votes cast, 159. Necessary for retention, 80. The yeas are 157, the nays 2. Superior Judge Timothy Tomasi, having received a majority of the total votes cast, is hereby declared retained to the office of Superior Judge for a term of 6 years, from and including the first day of April 2025 and until his successor is elected and has qualified. For Superior Judge Thomas Zone, total votes cast 160, necessary for retention 81. The yeas 159, the nays 1. Superior Judge Thomas Zone, having received the majority of the total votes cast, is hereby declared retained to the office of Superior Judge for a term of 6 years from and including the first day of April 2025 and until his successor is elected and has qualified. We shall now proceed to the matter of the vote on magistrate. Again, nominations are not received from the floor. Rather, each magistrate who seeks retention files a declaration of intention to stand for retention with the Secretary of State. Or if a magistrate is appointed after September 1st of the year preceding the expiration of the term of office, the magistrate shall automatically be a candidate for retention without filing notice. This means the name of each magistrate is automatically placed in nomination and considered for retention. In addition, the Judicial Retention Act provides that when a candidate does so declare for retention, the question to be decided shall automatically be, shall the following magistrate be retained in office? The statute provided the vote on the question shall be by one written ballot containing the names of all the magistrates. With respect to the retention of the incumbent magistrate, one declaration was received, and it is as follows. Alicia Humbert, the question to be decided shall be, shall Magistrate Alicia Humbert be retained in office, yes or no? The ballot that you will receive contains this question in a printed form on one single ballot. The term of the magistrate is for 6 years from and including the first day of April 2025 and until a successor has been appointed and qualified. After the presentation of the report, the question will be open for debate. The chair now recognizes the representative from Pittsford, Representative Millay, for the purpose of receiving the report on Magistrate Humbert.
To serving families and children in Vermont's judicial system. Born on December 15th, 1971 in Tallahassee, Florida, she pursued her education with a strong focus on law and international relations, eventually obtaining her Juris Doctor from Vermont Law School in 1999. Before becoming a magistrate, Magistrate Humbert had a long and distinguished career with Vermont's Office of Child Support, where she worked from 2000 to 2018. She served in multiple capacities, including paralegal, regional attorney, supervising attorney, and ultimately managing attorney. In these roles, she represented the state in family court cases concerning parentage, child support establishment, modification, enforcement, and contempt proceedings. She also contributed to significant legislative improvements in child support laws, including updates to enforcement statutes and modernized parentage laws. On March 14th, 2018, Magistrate Humbert was appointed as Family Division Magistrate, where she has presided over cases involving parentage, child support, temporary parental rights, spousal support, enforcement, and interstate support. She served in Washington, Orleans, Caledonia, and Essex counties, and most recently in Windsor County. She has been actively involved in various committees, including Family Division Oversight Committee, Vermont Council of Domestic Violence, and the Judicial Caucus, the Advisory Committee on Remote Hearings, and the Office of Child Support Court Committee. Magistrate Humbert takes great pride in ensuring that family court proceedings are accessible and fair, especially for self-represented litigants. She is committed to explaining legal processes clearly, making hearings as understandable and efficient as possible. She continuously strives for self-improvement in areas such as decision writing and time management, and has adapted to post-pandemic rule changes that have made remote hearings more accessible for families. She views her role as a magistrate as both an honor and a profound responsibility. Despite the emotional challenges that come with the position, she remains deeply committed to serving Vermont's families. She holds great respect for her colleagues in the judiciary and values the dedication of court staff and security officers. Survey responses from attorneys and court staff were glowing, with common expressions of her being patient, fair, considerate, and treating people with dignity and respect. 100% of survey respondents recommended her retention. Based on this, the Judicial Retention Committee voted unanimously to recommend retention of Magistrate Alicia Humbert. Thank you.
We will now proceed to any debate on the magistrate up for retention, Magistrate Alicia Humbert. There being no debate, are you ready for the question? Before the ballots are passed out, you're reminded of the rules I announced earlier and are reminded of the following. You must be seated in order to receive a ballot and must be seated while the ballots are distributed, marked, and collected. There will be no milling about in the chamber during the counting of the ballots. If you must leave the chamber during the counting of the ballots, you will not be permitted to re-enter the chamber until the counting of the ballots has been completed. If you are ready for the question, the tellers will now distribute the ballots to the members of the Joint Assembly for the vote. Wanting to make sure everyone has a ballot, and everyone please make sure that we have one slow ballot passer-outer. And please make sure that your ballot gets picked up. The tellers may now pick up the ballots. how good he's behaving this time. It's hard, isn't it? at 159 or 160? 132. What do we got? 67. 132. 0. We're ready to roll. Please listen to the results of your vote for Magistrate Alicia Humbert. Total votes cast, 132. Necessary for retention, 67. The yeas, 132, and the nays, 0. Magistrate Alicia Humbert, having received the majority of the total votes cast, is hereby declared retained to the office of magistrate for a term of 6 years from and including the first day of April 2025 and until her successor is elected and has qualified. There being no further business to take up, the chair now declares this joint assembly dissolved, and I would just remind the members that it is protocol to please stay in your place until the Senate exits the chamber.